Okay, well, welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Barcelos, and I am the founder of NAMASTREAM, which is a new software company devoted to helping yoga teachers and yoga studios bring their classes online. And I'm really excited to join you all today, this evening for those of you on the East Coast, and this afternoon for those of you on the West Coast. And today for those of you all over the world and other places who are joining us, and for those of you who are joining us on the recording later. I know I got several emails today from teachers who have to teach during this time, so we will make sure to make this recording available to you. So like I said, my name is Jennifer, and I have here on the webinar tonight with us Vanessa, who is the co-founder of All You Can Yoga, and she's going to be the star of our jam session. And I also have Rick here, and he's a member of the NamaStream team, and he's going to be providing support and helping us to sift through your questions during the Q&A. So welcome everyone, and without further ado, I will go ahead and get started. And I would love to just start with Vanessa, with you telling us a little bit about your story. I love storytelling, and I love understanding what brings people to their business and to their yoga mat. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are and how you got started with All You Can Yoga?
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. Really, I'm really excited, and it's also frightening because this is the first time that I actually speak live or do anything like this. I was always not a shy girl, but I never thought that I was going to end, giving live webinars about it, my passions and sharing what I love to do. So this is really exciting. I'm in the flow of life, and I'm really happy to be here. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, you're doing great.
Well, my story begins when I was about 4 years old. I had a very sad childhood. My mom's twin brother died, so I developed an ability to just disconnect from the world and isolate myself, and I developed this ability to be physically in a place, but my head and my soul was somewhere else. And it wasn't until I started dancing and connecting with my body that I discovered this ability to come back to the present moment, stay. And with the years and after moving to the States and a lot of changes in my life, I discovered yoga, or better put, yoga discovered me. And that's when it really made sense. And I was all the time able to come back to the present moment through yoga. And that's kind of my story. I've always been a very practical girl. I have a very special affinity for aesthetics. I studied graphic design and creative advertising when I moved here to the States. And now I'm very lucky to share both of my passions. I also started a branding company like 6 years ago. Um, and we mostly focus on startups and brands that are already established, but they want a complete refresh. So that's what I did for the last 6 years until All You Can Yoga came about, and I became a yoga teacher. And I always joke about how yoga ruined my life, because I ended up selling my branding company, and now I'm 100% devoted to helping people live their passion. Because also with yoga, I discovered that when people choose to step up and they choose to live their passion, you don't really work one day of your life. And it's life is funner. So I'm in the business of helping people live their passion. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And can you tell us what the catalyst was for you? What led you to that decision to leave your agency, to sell off your company and focus exclusively on yoga and building your life and your business in the yoga space in particular?
Well, um, it was really organic, and it was the right thing to do. I mean, what All You Can Yoga is doing is we're creating space and we're giving tools to leaders to actually be the change makers within their own communities. So I think I didn't step out of branding. I just pivoted branding, and now I choose to work only with yogis. I also think that when we step into the yoga mat, and the energy we bring into our yoga mat, it's different. We're choosing to be there, so we're bringing a whole different feeling with that, and we're choosing to show the best that is on us. So when two people that are choosing to be their best selves come together, it's just easier. For me, it made sense. I'm very lucky to be able to work with yogis and with people that are choosing to step up and be responsible for their own energy and awakening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It sounds amazing. And why don't you give our audience, I don't know how many people are joining us tonight from the NamaStream community versus the All You Can Yoga community. So some of the NamaStream folks may not be as familiar with how All You Can Yoga works and what your model is.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about how the company functions and how you help yogis achieve that mission that you set out to help them with?
Sure. So actually, it's funny because All You Can Yoga started really organically. I was traveling in Southeast Asia with my two best friends and business partners, and we decided to give and add some purpose to our trip. So since we were yoga teachers, we said, okay, let's just give donation classes wherever we are, because we were going hiking and we were going to meet a lot of people. And then since I'm a branding person, I said, yeah, but we have to show something. So we decided to print a logo in this piece of fabric that it looks really, it's a flag, and with the All You Can Yoga logo. And that flag created an opportunity to create a sacred space wherever we were. So it didn't matter if we were, in the top of a mountain, we just hang the flag, and boom, there was a yoga studio right there. And we opened an Instagram account only to share our pictures with our friends and family, and that started picking up really quickly. And people traveling all over the world, and especially yoga teachers, that every yoga teacher's dream is to travel the world, teach yoga, connect with amazing yogis, and be free and happy. So I think people connected a lot with that, because we inspired people that that was possible. And really that's how it started. We were always in the business, and our focus was always on the educational aspect, and how to educate, and how to make yoga more accessible by promoting yoga itself. So the more people that we bring into yoga, the more that yoga wins. So right now we partner up with Terry Cooper, which is my teacher, my guru, my friend. She's awesome. She's the founder of Yoga Gangsters, and she has 3 studios here in Miami. I'm from here. Well, I'm from Venezuela, but I live in Miami. And we partner up with Terry. She has more than 10 years of teacher training experience. And we developed a 200-hour teacher training curriculum that lead teachers and studio owners can lease from us. So at the end of the day, it will be their teacher training with their logo, their pictures, their brand, empowered by All You Can Yoga. And we are in commitment of bringing this curriculum to all the communities that wouldn't have normally access to something like that. Also to democratize the face of yoga, because yoga doesn't necessarily have to look like a fit, skinny white girl. Yoga should be for everyone in the world. So we're really in commitment to identifying leaders in different communities from Latin America and from other countries around the world, identifying them and making them the leaders and the change makers, and also uh, by them being able to bring yoga to their own communities, people connect with them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what we really want. And through our curriculum, we'll give the leaders everything from the manuals, for both for the teacher and the students. We'll give them the whole marketing campaign. Um, we'll give them the Yoga Alliance certification, and also we'll issue the diplomas. We register the people, we bill the students, and the whole model, how it works, is by a pay it forward. So we invest in our leaders, and then their students pay for our fee. So that's really how it's so accessible to share our curriculum with the world.
It's amazing. And you have a whole yoga ambassador program as well for yoga teachers. And that's been fascinating to me to see how many people you've brought into this community that's really still relatively new. That was just a vision that you had with your close friends when you're traveling. And so I'm sure many of the teachers in our community would love to learn a little bit more about your ambassador program and how that works and how you're able to support the efforts of teachers and studios through that program.
Sure. So our ambassador program, what our ambassadors get just by being in our brand, is a free All You Can Yoga profile, which works exactly like the website that any yoga teacher needs. You can share your schedule there. It's connected to the Instagram account, so every picture you take goes directly there. We have what we call the intensity meter, which is like from 1 to 5, will I sweat? How much philosophy will be in the class? Is it power? What level are you teaching? So you can really let students know what to expect. And also we have a platform for events, so you can share what's your next event, and people can from all over the world go online and find events based on a style, teacher, place in the world that they are. So the whole website platform is intended to become, with time, like the Google or the TripAdvisor for yoga.
Got it.
I'm in Turkey. Where can I go to practice? And it's really more effective than Google, because you can really connect and see the person, stalk them in social media, and see if what they are offering is what you want. And also be in community.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
think in many ways yoga is such an independent thing. With so many people practice at home, or yoga teachers are independent contractors and they work at so many different studios. And we work with a lot of independent teachers who are filming their classes and they're, in their home alone. But it really is great to find ways to bring others, to bring them into a community and to help others find them, I think is
yes,
important.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely. We all want to belong, and we connect with people that share our same values, our same lifestyle. So I believe it's easier to connect with yogis all around the world, and through All You Can Yoga, I've made amazing connections, including you. And it's basically, I always joke about it. It's like love at first Skype.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what technology allows us to be able to do. I mean, it's not perfect for sure, but the fact that we can, that we can all connect and communicate with each other and we're all hundreds, if not thousands of miles away is pretty remarkable. Whenever I get frustrated with technology, I always just try to remember how much of a miracle it actually is and how much of a blessing it is. So,
Definitely.
yeah. Well, I know we have a lot of folks are really interested in how why you focused on Instagram. It's because it definitely seems like your focus with your company is on Instagram, and it seems like it happened by accident for you. But I imagine you've learned a lot over the last couple of years in building your presence there. And I know that so many yoga teachers and yoga studios love to use Instagram as a platform and as a way to connect. So that one question that we've gotten is just, if you could share a little bit more about the strategy that you have around how you build that community, how you choose your hashtags, how you find other yogis through that platform, and then if you have suggestions for how to build a presence. If a yoga teacher was just starting out and they're just launching, maybe they've been a teacher for 5 years, but they're just really starting to build their online presence. What's the first thing that they should do?
I think the first thing is consistency. So if you really get into the All You Can Yoga's Instagram account, we're not hashtagging everything. We just have two, three, maybe four hashtags all over, and are ours. And I think that's the real jam about it, is that we always kept it consistent. So we post pictures depending on, if you have the flag and you're posting a picture with the flag, we have a little watermark with our logo that we put on top of every of our pictures. If you have the flag, we don't put the logo. If you don't have the flag, we put the logo. So it's very uh, specific the way that we choose our pictures. All the pictures are high quality, and it's not about how advanced are you in your practice, but it's about how deliberately you choose to take a picture of your pose, because aesthetics matter. That's the truth. I mean, there are certain ways for taking good pictures versus not so good pictures. And what I find is that it's the same principles as alignments in the yoga room, in the yoga mat. I mean, in yoga, we're always preaching about shoulders on top of the elbows, elbows on top of the wrists, right? And the same happens for a good picture, for a picture that is remarkable. It needs to be in high resolution for sure. But on top of that is the alignment. And I think that's the most important thing. We chose Instagram, as you said, by accident, and it was completely organic. But what I find is that right now people are on the go. Instagram is easy. You get into your phone, you post a picture, you can do it anywhere. You don't need a whole production. The cameras in our cell phones are amazing cameras. And you know what? It's not about, we're not inspired by Instagram or the pictures we post. It's not about, the background and the yoga pose in the cliff. It's not about that. It's more about how we get to be. We don't know one another, right? But we're there, and we are our biggest fans, and
Mm-hmm.
we inspire each other, and and then we go to the yoga studio and we get onto our mats, and also we're not inspired or inspired by the beautiful, more advanced pose, but we're also inspired by people holding hands in Shavasana. And and it's all about that. Our Instagram account is all about sharing how real yoga looks in a really clean and beautiful way. And I think consistency is key.
So in terms of that, you said, well, so consistency, how often would you recommend for someone who really wants to build a presence on Instagram? How often would you recommend that they post?
What I find most effective is, for example, if I'm promoting a class, right? And I know my life. I know that I have to teach at 6. But at that same time, most of the people who will come to my class are also in their own lives. So it's always good to promote before a specific event, whatever that is, and also afterwards. Why? Because some people can't make it. But by showing what they missed, they will come to the next one. So in most of our events, we try to post few weeks in advance, but the two most important posts are the one before, and I think even more the one after. Like, this is what you missed, and this was awesome.
Mm-hmm. That's great advice. And then you mentioned also for smartphones, cell phones have great cameras in them. When you're working with your ambassadors and giving them advice about pictures, do you have any recommendations about their cameras? Would you say most of the pictures that show up in your feed are taken with a cell phone? And
Most.
are they using the tripod or?
Yes, I mean, putting the light, like working with the light is really important. And also
Mhm.
putting the phone, I don't know, if you don't work with a tripod, just make it steady so it's not moving. And it's about trial and error. For 80 pictures, only one comes good, and that's your winner.
That's right.
And it's a trial and error. And mostly I don't post selfies of myself in my Instagram account, but I've read some good articles about, you have to learn which are your good angles and which are not. It's the same as modeling, and sadly in the yoga world, you need to promote yourself, because that's what brings people to your classes or to your online classes.
Yeah, no, I think that's really wise. I work with, like I said, a lot of teachers and studios to help them start video production and getting their classes online. But then there's the next phase that many of our clients are just entering into, which is, okay, now we have these amazing sites and these great videos and this beautiful idea, but how do we actually promote that? And it takes that has to be part of it, because there's so much noise out there online, and even within the yoga community online, it's hard to just assume that your students will find you, that your ideal students will find you, and your community will find you. And so I think this is something with a lot of us who have a strong passion and practice for yoga. We struggle with self promotion, and
Yes.
so I think that's also one of the questions that we've received a lot, which I think you do this very beautifully with your business, which is how do you kind of hold on to that sense of self and integrity and purpose, but also be self-promotional so that you can do this work that you love for a living.
Yes, and it's also, all you can yoga was never about me or Alexandra, my partner in crime and in yoga. It was never about us. It was always about yoga. And that's why we invited other teachers and other students and other yogis to be part of it. It was never about us. It was always about yoga. Now, when this is a global brand, right? But when you're promoting yourself, it definitely needs to be about you. And it needs to be about identifying what is it that you have to share. So I'm a very playful person. I love good music, and that's my classes. I love to dance. in every single one of my classes, I say the same thing. And now we dance. That's how I do it in all of my classes. And it's about consistency, but it's also about being yourself. So when I post in my personal account, which is definitely not as big as All You Can Yoga, I post about music, I post about dancing, I post about what to expect in my classes, and I post about sometimes my own thoughts and how I feel, because I think we can't teach what we don't know. We can only teach from the heart, and that's my biggest advice. And also I've seen it, like the post that I feel like I need to post, whatever. I don't have anything, inspirational to say. One day I also post about like, really, I don't have anything inspirational to say, and it was a huge success. Like I ran out of inspiration, I have nothing to say, and it was a success because it was truthful, and
Yeah.
people really dig truth. They can feel it. Even if it's in social media, we can feel when something is genuine and when something is like kind of like pushed.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's right. And I think that yoga teachers and folks in the yoga community feel it, even they can sense it even better.
Yeah.
That people who practice yoga seem to be more in touch with that sense of truth, and so they can see it in others. That's my impression. So it seems like, really just bringing your heart into what you do, and not being shy about it. And that's a way of promoting your work, is just, if you have something, not to be timid about putting it out there, because chances are you're going to strike a chord with someone else, even if you think no one else can relate to this, or this part of myself, I can't shine a light on this. Maybe that's the key, is to just sort of say, well, this is actually what will draw people towards me.
Definitely.
um,
Or the right
yeah.
people, the people that will
Right.
speak with you, the people that will feel called to you, to your classes, to your style. And it's also sometimes you don't really know what's your style. So it's about, again, trial and error. It's about doing, always, always, always doing. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you can't rock a handstand, which I can't. So I don't post about that. I post about other things that I feel comfortable.
Hmm.
And also what I was saying before, we are inspired in the yoga space, in the mat, by different things. And it's about, how can I show what happens, the magic that it's created there? How can I show it on my social media so that people know what's happening there, so that they
Hmm.
know what they are missing? How can I bring them?
Yeah, so one question about that we've gotten is, so you say you have a separate account besides the All You Can Yoga Instagram account. You have a personal account. Now, is that your personal yoga teacher account, or um, is that, I'm seeing a big message over my face. I don't know if other people can see it. Um, sorry, hi Rick.
I
Rick
could.
just posted a message. No, so one of the questions that we get is, um, so do you have two accounts? I mean, so obviously you have a business that's very much not about you as a person. It's a more worldwide business. But then, do you have a yoga teacher account, and then just another account for your family and your friends that's not about yoga at all? Or is your yoga teacher account you as a person?
Yes, my yoga teacher account is me as a person. I am a world traveler, so I post a lot about the places that I go and what my eyes see. And also I try to, I don't try, I do it. Every Monday I will post my schedule, and
Mm.
it doesn't matter if it's the same exact schedule. Every Monday I will post it. And every Monday, I will send a text message to my friends and to my students and to the people that I know that enjoy my classes. Listen, this is my schedule this week. And even I will receive messages, are you teaching this Wednesday? You know, like, yes, I'm teaching this Wednesday, like every other Wednesday. But that's how it works because you don't know. You don't know what's going on in my life. I don't know what's going on in your life and so on. So never be shy of saying stuff, repeating stuff, and just inviting because people feel safe with consistency. You feel safe eh, working with someone that has many years of experience. You feel safe going to a doctor that you know has a 20 years practice. It's the same. It's the same with yoga and with everything else in life, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So one technical question about that is how do you navigate between separate Instagram accounts? What app do you use, or do you just use Instagram itself?
Sign on, sign up, sign in, sign up, sign in.
That's how I've done it as well. And I keep thinking there has to be a better way. And because I've had studios ask me this question where they manage their studio account and then they have like an account for their family with their children's pictures, and they obviously don't want to keep those the same. And so it doesn't seem like there's
I'm
an
sure
amazing.
that there's an app for that, but I'm not familiar with it. But I've heard.
Okay.
Like I remember someone telling me like, why do you have to log off all the time? Like just use this app. And I was like, I don't know.
Well, I haven't found it, so maybe someone in the chat. I know that we have a chat going. Rick, have we gotten any questions in there so far? I know you just
Not so
posted
far.
the link.
Yeah,
Not
the
so far.
link's posted on the Facebook group and also on the Google Hangout event page. And I guess you can. Do you want to say the one live just so, in case anybody's not looking in those places?
Yeah, why don't you say it live?
Okay.
Because I don't have it right in front of me.
Oh, that's fine. It is bit.ly, so bit.ly/NAMASTREAM chat, all one word. And yeah, see you there.
So yeah, please, if you got that message and you're on the live training tonight, feel free to go in there and post your questions. Sorry, we had a little bit of a technical snafu earlier and didn't get the link posted until now, but feel free. I have plenty of questions for Vanessa though, so we're good. So we've gone a little bit through the Instagram piece of it, but I know because your background, Vanessa, is in branding, and I think branding is such an elusive concept. And I've worked with a number of others. I've obviously worked on my own brand quite a bit, but also helping others to build their brand. And it seems like every expert I've asked, and everyone sort of has their own idea about how do you create a brand, how do you build this thing that represents who you are and what your organization or your business does. How do you symbolize that, and how do you create a structure around it that's easy for people to understand and relate to? So I know that's kind of a tough question, but given your background and your focus on aesthetic, I know that it's a question that a lot of yoga teachers and studios have in terms of building their business, and maybe maybe they're brand new, or maybe they've created a brand already that they just kind of put together when they were getting started, but they're really looking to hone in on creating something that represents who they are and who they are as a yogi.
Yes. Well, my background is strictly on branding, and I lived in New York for a year, and I created my portfolio. This was back in 2008. I was going for advertising agencies and interviewing and finding a job. And I was in Saatchi & which is one of the biggest advertising companies. And the girl looked at me and she said, "What are you doing here? You belong in branding." And I was like, "What is that?" And 1 year later, that's what I was doing. And we created a process, and it's a very structured process. I am happy to work individually with anyone who needs my help in going further, but I can resume on personalizing your brand. So your brand needs to be a breathing, living human being, like really humanizing the way that you teach, the way that you communicate. How would your yoga brand behave in a party? And the way that we and the way that I and my partners used to do it in my branding company was by giving a 48 questionnaire to really humanize the brand. And it's tough. It requires a lot of attention and intention and work into it, because it's like, okay, if you have to identify your brand with an object, what would it be? If you have to identify your brand with a cartoon character, what would it be? And you know, it's funny. Sometimes you get a certain answer that you don't necessarily share that answer, but it will help you identify how does it look. So if All You Can Yoga was a cartoon character, for example, it would probably be Towley from South Park. You know? And it's like the yoga high. It's like, it's this towel that will get your sweat off. We will never share something like that, like in our brand, in our website or social media. But that helped us identify our color scheme. That helped us identify that the tagline of All You Can Yoga, which is feel the yoga high, and and so on. So it's a lot about that. How would All You Can Yoga behave in a party? It would be fun, but at the same time holding space. The All You Can Yoga brand is all about polarities. We are very personal, but we are global. You know, we are we are really beautiful and sophisticated, but at the same time we're direct and clear.
Yeah.
So it's all about identifying those intrinsic aspects of your brand, and it doesn't necessarily have to be you, but your brand, and stick with them long enough so that they can manifest, and that they can start to live on their own.
So you have this process that, as a professional brand agency that you would go through with clients.
Yes.
Is there some resource that you would recommend to, say, a yoga teacher that is, they've been teaching at a bunch of different studios and they love being a yoga teacher? Because I've talked to so many of these people now, but now they're really just starting to realize they need to create their own presence. Like many have a basic website or don't even have a website yet. They don't have a logo, but they really are ready to build a lifestyle and a career around this profession and this, this being a teacher, or say they're just about to start a studio or something. Studios typically have a little bit more money and time to invest in that process than teachers, but not always. And so, is there a resource or a book or like a set of 3 questions to get them started, something like that? And I'm sort of putting you on the spot with that question, but I know just personally I don't have that expertise, and that's something that I know a lot of folks are struggling with.
Well, I am more than happy to share some questions via allyoucanyoga.com and also NAMASTREAM.com, some of the questions we use. But mostly is about who am I, what are the things that I love, like I love to travel the world.
Yeah.
I love to sweat, and I love to move my body because that's how I connect. And that's my yoga brand right there. How would my yoga brand, literally, if my yoga brand was a person, how would I see that person in a party? Like, it would be shy and kind of behind, it would be behind the bar, or it would be storytelling.
Hmm.
So it's all about that. Like, first of all, identifying who you are in your own brand, and then separating from it, and how can you see it from far? How do you see it? From, not through your eyes, but like from afar.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And I think that, I mean, just doing that is probably a good exercise, especially at this time of year. It seems like this is a time of reflection and, preparing for the next year, and kind of just, even if you're not rebranding or building your brand publicly right now, it's probably a useful exercise to ask yourself those questions about what you do for a living, and like what you want to bring to what you do. Because I imagine it's not just how you show up in terms of a color scheme or a font on a website or a logo. It's sort of how you show up in the world as a teacher or as a business.
Yes, my business partner, Alexandra, she always told me, like, people are not gonna come with me or come to my classes because I'm a yoga teacher. They will come for my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that's completely, that's truth right there. And it's about inspiring. It's about living as example also.
Yeah, I think that's important. I think anyone who is doing any capacity of teaching or mentoring or leading has that, I think, responsibility, and also that sense to bring forward, that it's living what you're teaching, and living, showing up in the world how you want to, what gifts you want to give to your students is how you are the same gifts that you give to yourself, and you show them an example of someone getting and giving those gifts in the world, I think. And if you can build a public brand that represents that, that's amazing to me, that something is that powerful. And we all know from advertising and from the way large companies have such a presence in our lives, that this stuff works. I mean, this is how, as human beings, we relate to one another on some level. So it's important to be aware of it, to bring attention to it, because I mean, everyone is living that way anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so are there one other question that I've received, and again, am no expert and feel reluctant to answer, is, what if you already have built a presence and built a brand, or you weren't as intentional as maybe you wanted to be about it, and what goes into changing your brand? Are there any, like, how is it okay to change your brand a few times if you're you're changing, sort of, you're testing things out, you're trying out, this is the kind of teacher I want to be, and this is the kind of business I want to build around being that kind of teacher, and then your priorities shift, or you just evolve. How does the brand react to that, and is it okay to redo that brand?
I think it's okay to rebrand when it's outdated, and we can all feel that. We evolve, and we all know the only constant is change. So it's natural for brands to evolve. So I think that the brand will ask itself to it will ask it itself for a change. So it happened in my own personal classes. I was feeling that I joke about it, but it's the truth. I was in a teaching identity crisis. because I was teaching something that I was used to teach, but I wasn't feeling it anymore. My practice evolved, the way that I show up in the world evolved as well, and I was kind of in this crisis. And one day I just decided I'm gonna change it, and since then I announced it. Since and I said it like that, guys, and in my classes, in my social media, to my family, and I shared it with the people I care and with the people who stuck with me when in this crisis. And I said, you know what, I realized I was in an emotional teaching identity crisis, and I needed to change. So this is going to be what's next. And my classes are going to be from now on structured as this. And it's incredible how it changed, the energy, everything. So I would encourage people to refresh whenever they feel it. So for those folks that are asking, like maybe they have a pretty big online presence, so they are afraid, but they don't feel it anymore. Also, people can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
So for those moments, I will encourage them to change for sure, and then keep it consistent. So it needs to be sustainable. And the only way to find sustainability is to feel comfortable, to feel good in our own skin, in our own bodies, and 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 really, branding is about that. It's about bringing untangible things into life and making them human.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of describing it. I think it's something that, big companies spend a lot of money on branding and a lot of time. And I think that smaller, even independent entrepreneurs, because I think yoga teachers are all entrepreneurs on some level. I think that we don't spend as much time in that space as maybe we could, because we don't see it as being legitimate. But the way that you're describing it is so beautiful, because it's really just a process of self-reflection more than anything else, especially if it's about you and your career and not necessarily about this larger global brand. And so I think if we can shift the way that we think about branding, it becomes less intimidating.
Yes, and like I'm cutting myself that every time that you ask me a question and I want to answer, I don't even relate to all you can yoga. I relate to myself. And that's because all you can yoga to me is something that it has never been about me.
Yeah.
It's on its own. So all you can yoga, it's a whole other entity on itself that works on brand guidelines. And I can share, for example, the marketing stuff that we provide to our leaders and to the teachers that are facilitating our teacher training. So we needed to develop something beautiful for them that was also accessible for them to manipulate, right? So we developed a template that looks like this. Let me.
Yeah, we can see.
So it's on white background, right? So it's really easy for us to switch this picture for someone else's in a white background, Warrior 2. So it's always about finding, I don't want to say the easiest, but it is the easiest way to collaborate. It's the easiest way to to do something clean and clear. And the branding is all about that. So if you're going to show something like this, a beautiful girl with black top, black yoga pants, do the same over and over again, and people feel safe. People feel like, okay, this is something that is consistent, this is something that I can trust.
Do you feel like I mean, I think that way when I see your Instagram feed and you do have the All You Can Yoga logo, and that's not your personal one, but that's the All You Can logo site. And I'm sure everyone on here has seen that because you have such a large presence. I mean, do you feel like individual teachers or studios should be putting their logo in the same place on the picture on each time they post to social media? Would that provide that same kind of consistency in brand recognition, or is that less important?
I mean, we do it with a purpose, and the purpose is that since we're featuring so many different people, the only way to bring them together into an umbrella is by having our watermark.
Sure.
Now, for my personal or like a personal account, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I feel it's more about developing a process. So, for example, I know a lot about, I don't know, rolling over the toes. Like I don't know why I'm saying this, but whatever it is. So I'm gonna every Sunday at the same time throw a video, a little tutorial on how to begin rolling over your toes, or so it's more about that, finding a consistency and finding a way to so that people can start really following you for a reason. Everything needs to have a purpose behind it. I don't think that it's going to be effective just throwing a logo on every picture if it doesn't serve something.
For sure. For sure, but it makes me think that for studios it might be a similar idea to what you're doing with All You Can Yoga, because often a studio is featuring so many different teachers. Um, Maybe it is a similar idea, but for an individual teacher, I see what you're saying. I think you're saying that the brand is deeper than that. That's more about consistency in terms of the presence of that person on social media
Mm-hmm.
and what they're representing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and what they want to share. They don't have to share something that they don't want to share.
Yeah.
But it's about finding what is it that I know, what is it that I find my truth, and 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 how can I say it in a way that it doesn't have to be the same image all the time, but it's the same idea over and over and over again. So like that example of the mini tutorials every Wednesday, and then and that's why the gratitude Sunday and the throwback Thursday, and it's always that we can always go back and back and back, and that's why it's so successful, because it's something that, oh, I missed it the first time, and then I missed it the second time, and then the third one, but suddenly it got me because it repeated itself long enough.
Yeah, for sure. That just makes me think in terms of consistency. I mean, you said that the key is consistency, and are there tools that you use or that you recommend for teachers and studios to use to be putting content out consistently? Because I know it's hard just to remember, oh, it's Thursday, I need to post an old picture, or it's Wednesday, I'm going to post a recipe on Wednesdays, and sometimes it's hard to kind of stick to your editorial calendar when it's just in your head. So just, do you have any specific tools that you all use?
Well, first of all is knowing what is the content that you want to share. So in All You Can Yoga, we share about teachers, we share about recommended studios, we share events, and we share teacher training.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to follow an agenda that each day we're going to post one of each, depending on what's coming next. And some days we're successful, some days we're not as successful, but at least we have like a structure and in which to build our online presence. And the way that I find most effective is, for example, one day of the week, we sit down, we choose the pictures of the week, and then we have them, all of them ready. And it's like a one time you sit down, you spend the time. it's much more effective and way more convenient than thinking about and being all stressed, like I haven't posted yet. What am and then you have it all ready, and whatever you need, whatever extra, whatever comes up, of course you can always make room for that. But it's being ready and from before, I think.
Mm-hmm. And is there a scheduling tool that that you use personally for scheduling your content?
Just my Google Calendar.
Yeah, I find that that's what a lot of people say, just a spreadsheet or Google Calendar or something. There are certainly apps as
Yes,
well.
and also we follow a lot of within our own website. So we just go and look what are the next events, what are the next teacher trainings, and we kind of do it by what's coming earlier in time.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And then if do you ever do ads? I mean, it's hard because this is obviously a corporate brand, and I know for your personal account you probably do it a bit differently. But do you just add spontaneously, extra content in there, or is for your business, is it pretty much pre-scheduled, and then your more personal teacher account is more spontaneous?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, we're just about on an hour. I don't want to keep you too long, Vanessa. This has been super helpful. Rick, do we have any outstanding questions that I haven't already asked Vanessa?
No, I think everything's been covered. Funny enough, I mean, you guys have gone over so many different things. And I just wanted to note that I was this notion of a brand as sort of a living being, and I think you said actually branding is about bringing untangible things to life. That is a revelation for me. I just want to write that on my wall. That's amazing.
Thank you, but it's the truth. I mean, I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah, well, it's a helpful truth. I think it's a really intimidating concept for a lot of people, and something that maybe we think is icky, that it's not yogic to talk about. But I think it is important. I think the way that you talk about it makes it humane, and we, it's just another form of sharing who you are.
Yes, and also, like, what I want to make very clear is that it's not about the most advanced asana. It's really not about that. It's about what is it true for you. What makes you inspired? Right now, I'm obsessed with this company, 21 Drops. It's essential oils. I'm obsessed with them. I love them. Like, it changed my life. That's what I post. It's like it doesn't have to be. It has to be real. That's it. That's it. It has to be real. So
that's great.
so what inspires you in your yoga mat? Post about that. For me, I love seeing couples holding hands. Whenever I have one couple holding hands in Shavasana in my classes, I sneak and I take a picture of them, and I'm like, oh my God, and it's real. So keep it real. Or try.
Well, that's right. That's a great note to end on. I think keep it real. That's the best possible advice I think we can bring to bear in a conversation about branding and social media. So, well, thank you, Vanessa. This was really generous of you to share all of your expertise with us, and I look forward to continuing the conversation for sure. And I will for sure. I'm sure we'll get questions emailed to me, and I'll, if it's okay, I'll forward them along to you as well.
Definitely. And please stay connected. Go to our website, allyoucanyoga.com, and this is a great tool. Everything is for free right now, so enjoy it and build your online presence. Yoga teachers, yoga studios, feel free to join our community. We will post about you for sure. No one gets behind. At one point or another, you'll be featured as well. and also yogis from all over the world will be able to find you and go to you.
It's a great resource. Yeah, if I imagine everyone knows about you, but if you don't, please listen to Vanessa's advice and hop over there. It's an amazing resource that she and her partners are providing. So please have a visit over there. And if anyone has questions, feel free to email me. I'll happily pass relevant questions on to Vanessa. And my email is jennifer@namastream.com, NAMAStream.com. And we look forward to continuing the conversation, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next webinar. So have a great night, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. Many blessings.